Let's look about lambda functions. So what are lambda functions? So we call lambda functions as anonymous functions. First of all, let's see why we call lambda functions as anonymous functions. To do that, first let's see what our real functions are. So as you can see in this class and method, this method has a name, and this method has a uh, concrete body. So this is a real function because it has a name and uh, 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 it belongs to a class. So how do we call this method? So in order to call this method, first we need to instantiate an instance from this class. Let's instantiate, and then we can call that method by using this newly instantiated object like this. Okay, now we know what our real functions are. Now let's see what are lambda functions. So in order to write a lambda function, in order to create a lambda function, we should have a interface with exactly one method. This is a must thing. This interface should have must have exactly one method. No more methods, no less methods, exactly one method. So when we have this kind of interface, we usually call this as a functional interface, but for now let's forget about functional interface thing. uh, then uh, we have to define the type, and then uh, we define what we need to do as a lambda function. So we have an input, and then we have an arrow. This arrow is a specific thing to lambda function, and then we define what we need to do, what we want us from this implementation. Okay, this is we call lambda function. So now you, as you can see, you can understand why we call this as an anonymous function, because uh, this method had a name, but as you can see, this has no any name. This is not like this has no any name. uh, we we define the thing that we want this code block to do, and we don't give a name to it, but we have assigned this to this type. That is how we write lambda function, and this is the uh, lambda function. So now we have to know why we need to use this kind of lambda function. So the first reason is this leads to more cleaner code. As you can see, we don't need to deal with instantiating new instances and then calling its method and creating separate classes and then overriding the methods. We don't need to deal any of these kind of things. We just need to write uh, what what we want from this function. That's all. That is more cleaner way. And the other advantage is we can pass this function to another method. So can we pass this function to another method? No, we cannot pass after we instantiating, right? But lambda functions we can pass. How do we pass? We write another function, and then we pass this using type, and then we can uh, actually use uh, this function inside that method. Sorry, I didn't call it. As you can see, we got the desired result that we want. This is the lambda function and how we create it using this.